And Christina Owens, you are running for Ward 4.
Yes.
Appreciate your time today and want to give the people of Ward 4 and of all Norman an opportunity to know you a little bit better than you can be known in a 30-second soundbite. So this is a conversation on some broad-based questions of governance that we've gotten from different council members who've served in the past. Okay, the first question is about your approach of governance if you're elected. There are various approaches to the job of representation. Some elected officials view themselves as a part of the team, and once elected, consider their constituents to be represented simply by that official's participation in the governmental process. Other officials' approach to representation is to see themselves not as a part of the government team, but instead as a member of the citizenry that represents the wishes of the citizenry to the permanent staff. Others still view their role as an elevated member of staff and a conduit by which the city communicates to the public. So which of those do you kind of see yourself falling into?
Well, instead of just saying A, B, or C, I can just kind of tell you my concept for it. So I believe that with government, that it should be representative government. So if I'm going representing Ward 4, then I am representing all of Ward 4, not just the people that voted for me, not just the people that I agree with. I feel like that position is supposed to be representing the citizens in that part of town. So obviously anyone's going to come to the table with some ideas that they already have, some kind of preconceived notions, but I feel like they have to be open to hearing what the people in their neighborhoods and that part of town feel. So you can't really just go in and have your own idea and not look at any other information because they voted you in, so I feel like you're their representation. So for me, I just really feel of it more as a representative government, and that I have to be the voice and kind of amplifying the voice of all of the neighbors and the constituents that, you know, reach out and say, this is what I feel about an issue.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say that you're going to take the people's message to the city instead of the city's message to the people.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both because I really believe in transparency with the local government too and having accountability. So I think there's a lot of times that something will happen and people won't know about it. There's so much going on in Norman all the time. There's these events and there's these great festivals and there's art. And a lot of times when it comes to the local government, a lot of people aren't tuned in and they don't realize what's going on. And the information's out there, but some people just don't know where to look. So I think also, for me, I would really want to make sure the transparency is there and to make it more accessible to people. So I know Stephen Tyler Holman is very active on Facebook and putting things out there for the people, and that would be something that I would do as well. And I would also want to do actual roundtable events periodically so that as a city council person, I could say, here's this event that I'm having, you know, you can come and you can ask me questions. What did happen at the last city council meeting? Or I have this issue that I would like, you know, brought up. So I think you do have to have some back and forth. So definitely when I'm sitting up there, it is to represent all of the people in Ward 4. But I also have to take that back to the people. And I feel like, you know, just something so simple as social media and posting something out there with a synopsis or, you know, here's some copies of some of the information that was given to us is just such a great way to reach out to people because not everyone can make it to city council, especially with different work schedules. So I do feel like you do also have to bring it to the people so that they know what's going on too.
Very good. This next question is about your relationship with staff.
Okay.
The city charter explicitly denotes the roles for all council members. And how do you view your role as a council member with regards to the city manager's staff?
Okay. Well, obviously, when there's different things that come up, staff are the ones that come to these meetings with presentations. They have a lot of this information because City Council itself just can't micromanage and know every aspect of everything. So they come in with a lot of their recommendations, a lot of the information that they have with their expertise, the reason that they're in that position. So the staff definitely are in the position that they're in for a reason. So they bring all that information to the City Council so that they can have that readily available. So I do feel like there has to definitely be good communication between the city council members and city staff. If city staff is trying to reach out through email or phone call, trying to, kind of give you a heads up of things before, a city council meeting, or perhaps there's additional information that you might want to read and peruse and research in time before the meeting, so you have that in the back of your mind. You have to have those open lines of communication. And I know already from just talking to people in Ward 4, I've had quite a few people that have talked to me about flooding issues, especially with all of the flooding that we had this last year. So I've had people that have reached out that have asked me, do you want to go and tour the water facility and see what's going on and the ins and outs? And, obviously when you're campaigning and you're knocking doors, you get to be very busy. But I also do have a game plan that I want to reach out, and I want to go to some of these places to actually take the tour, see the people, talk to them. So you already have this concept going in, what are the issues, who are the major players, just to make sure that you already have that information under your belt. Because too, if you do get into city council and you get sworn in, you have a very short window to just turn around and you're up there and you're supposed to know what you're supposed to be doing. So I think that it's just responsible for a candidate to also find the time to start doing that research and to reach out to those different people and go on those tours of the facilities, so you can already start getting that information together. And even if you don't win for city council, it still makes you a better citizen. It makes you more informed. So I'm looking forward to a lot of those different aspects of reaching out to new people and really just educating myself more on the ins and outs of Norman.
Now, there's also there's a particular role for the mayor in the charter. The charter has the manager is actually running the day-to-day business, and then the mayor is the chair of council.
Right.
So how do you view council's role working with the mayor?
Well, just kind of what you see at city council meetings. Obviously, the mayor is the one who makes sure that, we're following along with the agenda, that we're following the rules. Obviously, everyone should have a concept of, the Open Records Act and all of that information as it pertains to meetings. But, they're kind of the ones that are steering the ship. So they're the captain of the ship. They have the agenda. They know where they're supposed to go. They're also the one that can turn off your microphone. So the mayor is definitely the person that is making sure that the meetings are going where they need to go. And, and is typically in the past for Norman, the mayor has been in a position where they've been a city council member. They know how all of that works. So they're generally a more senior member of the city council. So I think also for new city council people as they come in, that's a great person to go to find out more information, to make sure that they're following all the rules, to make sure that they're reaching out to all the right resources. Now, that doesn't mean you can't disagree with the mayor. I mean, you can obviously disagree with the mayor. But I do feel like it's kind of, in that concept, you're a team, and the mayor is kind of your quarterback. They're the ones that's dictating what the game plan is. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe not the best analogy, because in football I don't know how much you can disagree with the quarterback, but in general, the mayor is the leader for city council. But, we're each autonomous, we each have our own wards and our own voice.
Very good. If you're elected to be the voice of your constituents in Norman's inclusive community, how would you approach a controversial issue? Would you vote with your personal beliefs or your constituents' preferences?
Okay. I think a lot of that is situational, because it does kind of depend on what aspect are we talking about. Now, you did mention inclusive. So if we're talking about something that is specifically having to do with, LGBT issues or just inclusivity, civil rights issues, then in that case, I feel like that's always kind of the trump card, because I couldn't sleep well at night if I voted against my conscience on something like that. So, if someone was saying, we're taking away the vote from different minority groups, or just something completely off the wall, or anything that's really going to do something negative to a group of the community, I would not be able to vote for that, even if every Ward 4 person I knew was knocking on my door, because at the end of the day, I have to be true to myself, and I wouldn't be able to sleep well at night with that. And that's not the person I am, and that's not the Norman that we are either. So I would think that everybody had a sudden memory fog. They would come to their senses very soon and realize that what they were wanting at that time probably wasn't the best plan overall.
Yeah, sometimes it seems to be like a matter of getting the information out.
Yes, miscommunication is a huge issue. And that's another reason I think that transparency in local government is so important, because you can see one person attends a meeting and then they write a Facebook post and they only tell you about this one little aspect, but you don't realize that there's actually all these other perspectives underneath it and that there's research behind it. So it's easy sometimes for people to see just a part of the puzzle,
right,
and they kind of run off on a tangent. But again, if you're as transparent as you can be and you put it all out there for people, usually once they see the whole picture and they can make those decisions for themselves, it's usually in the best interest of everyone.
And you've segued beautifully into our last question, which is about trust as an essential part of governing.
Okay.
Without trust, it's hard to accomplish anything.
Yes.
How will you build trust in the community, and keeping in mind things like the Open Meeting Act and the Open Records Act? How do you feel those are relevant, and how would you feel like you should make sure those are enforced or not?
Okay. Well, first of all, the research aspect, because I know that there might be aspects of our charter or rules that I might not be aware of. So anybody who's coming in as a city council member has a lot of research to make sure that they're following all the right protocol and to make sure that they're doing everything right. Also, too, I'm sure that there's instances where someone does something and they don't mean it to be malicious. It could just be a matter of just a common mistake that they didn't know. So, I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So if there is something small like that, I would want my community and other people to say, hey, Christina, did you realize? You probably didn't, but, this wasn't exactly, to code. And then, I would obviously want to step in line and fix that immediately. And I think that is part of building trust, because we're all human. So, I would want to have open communication. I would want to be as transparent as possible. And that's for the good things and the bad things. If I mess up, I want somebody to be accountable to that and to say, Christina, hey, you messed up here. And I think part of having character and building trust is to also admit when you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look at the big two candidates for the Democratic and Republican Party right now, it's both these outliers, and I think that people like them because they feel they're authentic.
Right.
And so I wonder, how you think that plays into what you were just talking about, is admitting that you're human, and maybe you mess up, and,
right,
and how do you address that when you make a mistake and you need to clean it up? Right.
Well, I think anytime you make a mistake, the first thing is you have to acknowledge it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. You have to fess up. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what I was doing was incorrect, but that's completely on me, and I am going to rectify it by ABC. And you have my commitment that this will not be an issue again, but please hold me accountable, put my toes to the fire, kind of a thing. And I think that you'll see in this specific campaign this year, you have a lot of people that are new to running for city council. So you have a lot of people that aren't practiced politicians. You have a lot of people that are active in different areas in the community. So I feel like you do see a lot of faces that do have more of that authentic feel, because we're not necessarily trying to say what we think people want to hear. I think just a lot of us have our hearts in the right place, and that we've already done a lot of things for Norman, and this just feels like the next logical step for us. So I feel like a lot of the people, even if they don't make it to city council, they'll probably run again in future years, and if not, they're still going to be very active in the community. And I know myself, I will definitely still be around, because, learning all these new things and meeting new people, what would be the point of it or the fun of it if I just took all that information and just, said, forget it, who cares, and move on. Like, if anything, it just opened your eyes more and more to some of the details of Norman. So I feel like there are a lot of authentic people in this race that aren't just doing it, for a reason that's, a specific person who's, whispering in their ear. There's no, kind of shady politics. It's more of people that really want to do something for Norman.
Well, great. Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
enjoyed it.
Thank you much. That was fast.